Oh my God, we are back with another episode of Grindhouse Chic. As always, I am Robert Schneider, and I'm joined by my constant companion. That's really bad word. I am joined by my co-host with the most, Matt Armstrong. Matt, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. How
You're
about
doing pretty.
yourself?
You're doing pretty good, and we're talking about Showgirls tonight. We are talking about the 2 hour and 11 minutes
Yeah,
of Showgirls.
I
But
forgot about the runtime on this thing.
I didn't check it before I put it in, but I was shocked when I saw this was the longest Skinamax movie in the world.
Yeah.
Have you watched anything good this week?
Um, I finally watched I don't know if I'm going to say that it's good, but I finally watched the new Space Jam.
Why?
um, I don't know. I did like a challenge on Letterboxd and I had that one for one of the prompts. Um, it was okay. I don't think it deserved all the hate that it got, but other than that, I watched um the new documentary they put on Disney Plus about Stan Lee. That was pretty.
Lies. It's all lies.
Is it? Did you watch it?
I don't need to watch it. I know
Yeah.
all about him.
It
He
was
is
pretty good.
the documentary should have been about Jack Kirby, who really created almost all that stuff, and Stanley gets all the fucking credit.
They had a pretty good chunk of it devoted to that. They kind of went through um like archival interviews between the two of them of them kind of like arguing back and forth about it and why each of them thought like the character was theirs and stuff, and so they did go into it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch it. Um, Yesterday, I went to see The Flash,
Yeah.
and with about 20 minutes left in the movie, it stopped. Every screen in the theater stopped working. Someone came in there. We're going to be calling technical support. We don't know when it's going to be back online. Automation of movie theaters is a bad thing.
So did it come back on?
No,
Did you see the last
no,
20
no, no.
minutes?
They were when I walked. I waited for about 15 minutes and I walked out. They were saying it would be about 2 hours.
Mm,
I miss the days of having projectionists and not everything being automated, because stuff like that could be controlled.
yeah. Man, so did they have to refund like every single person in the theater?
Yeah, I have AMC stubs, so I didn't fucking care. But I also realized, you know what? I don't know if I want to go back and see it just to see the last 20 minutes.
Right.
I I I enjoyed what I saw. Hold on, Buster, no. I enjoyed what I saw, but I did not enjoy. I don't know if it'd be worth it. When I pick up the 4K or when it comes on Max, I'll just watch it then.
Yeah. Was the only thing that I've really heard about it was that the CGI is real shoddy.
Um, I really only noticed that during the baby catching sequence,
Oh,
and
okay.
I
Interesting.
didn't fucking care. I didn't fucking care. Um, if I were to write a review of it now, this was a love letter to DC films and DC programs from the 1950s to today.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't really, I consider it a celebration. I did not get to see the part where Christopher Reeve's image was in it or George Clooney's return. I'm spoiling the hell out of it
Oh God.
because I didn't get to watch it. All right.
Nice.
So is there anything else you watched?
Um, no other movies. We did watch a series on HBO, another true crime one about um it was pretty much like the real life version of The Orphan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was about this. um little person that had, I can't remember the name of the condition, but it's a rare one for that. And this family adopted her, and she was like apparently came from Ukraine or something, and she was supposed to be like 6 years old, and all this stuff happened where they they found out that she was like 20 something.
I remember reading about that in the news.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been watching a trash documentary on HBO on Max from Discovery Channel. It's called Undercover Underage.
Mm.
And what fascinates it about to me is the person who runs this organization called SOSA, which is really incredible. She was in the first season, she's 38 and she still looks young, so she goes undercover and she has this whole team where they break down predators, where they get them arrested. But I work in advertising as my full-time job, and she worked in advertising and her whole team does. And I just found this fascinating that we're in the same industry, we know the same people, and I think this is a really good show compared to things like To Catch a Predator or the internet guys who do it, because it shows how thorough their investigations are and how they go to finding these creeps' names.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
So are you pretty much like a full-blown Don Draper?
no, I'm the exact opposite of Don Draper. John Draper was smooth and suave. I am not smooth and suave. And the rules have changed since those days. Don Draper would have been fired.
Yeah.
But I watched a shitload of stuff this week. And reason why is my company had a retreat on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So I went out for a little while, and then when everyone started drinking, I came back home to watch movies.
Yeah. Nice.
So I got my Vinegar Syndrome shipment in on Tuesday. Really excited to see it. So the first thing I watched was At the Video Store documentary from ETR. Didn't tell me anything I already knew except that I miss video stores. And it got me thinking, like, we do the show and we're like a million podcasts about movies, and we all end up talking about the same shit. No one's going to discover anything new unless we pull something out of our hat that nobody's seen or talked about in a long time. And I feel that was what the video store did, was it allowed us to talk to an expert who, let me rephrase it, who is a self-proclaimed expert like we are, who has watched almost every movie in there, wanting to be the next Tarantino.
Yeah.
But and actually, that's what I like about Letterboxd. I'll go look at what most recent posts from people on the main page, and kind of get excited when I don't recognize something or something I have in my collection that I haven't watched.
Right.
I then watched In the Claws of the CIA.
I went to put that in one night and ended up watching something else. How was it?
I'm sure we'll talk about that in another episode, but I enjoyed it.
That was a VSA, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then the next day we went to a DC Defender soccer game, and we had club level, which had an all you can eat buffet. After I had a few hot dogs and a beer, I did my Irish goodbye and came home and watched Virgin High and then Dr. Caligari. Love that movie. I remember watch it, and then I realized I've seen this before when I was on acid in college, and now I'm not on acid, and it made me feel like I was. All right.
Is that the 4K? A 4K
I
just
have
come out
no,
of that?
it was the Blu-ray. I didn't order the 4K. Then the next night after coming home late, I watched Funny Haha, which I really enjoyed as well. And then Friday was a half day, and I didn't have any comedy, so I watched a triple feature of Dracula, the Dirty Old Man. I will read my review of it. Meet the vampire and werewolf version of Beavis and Butthead.
Sounds interesting.
It was, they had a film and they dubbed over it and made it dumb. And I was interested in that. I haven't watched the second movie on there. Then I watched Gollum from the Apocalypse tetralogy.
Okay.
So when I placed my order, this was the most iffy thing that I was going to buy because I really hate subtitles. But the more I read about this guy, I was like, all right, I'm glad I placed the order. And holy fuck, the first two movies on here are just fantastic.
Nice.
I don't know how the fuck they got made in a communist country. Because it's obvious they are very anti-communist.
Where are they from?
Poland.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. Then I concluded it with the sequel to Virgin High, Hot Under the Collar. And then yesterday I came home and from the movies and didn't feel like going out that night. I was supposed to go to a party, but I didn't. I watched Polite Society on Peacock. The new VSP title, Sick of Myself, which was a last minute order for me. Did you order that one?
I did.
Wow. Just wow.
I do want to watch that one. Is that their third one or fourth?
It's their fourth.
Okay.
The first was New York Ninja, Censor. Why can't I remember what the third one is?
The third one was the Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh yeah,
what was that called?
Scary 61st.
Yeah. Yep.
And then I watched Showgirls, which we'll talk about later. And then today I watched the second one, The War of the Worlds Next Century, which was even better than Gollum. And then Night Screams. I hope we never talk about it because my review as of today was, a movie is pretty bad when the scenes from Graduation Day and the John Holmes flicks are more interesting.
Okay. All right.
But no, I'm pretty happy with what I've watched from the Vinegar Syndrome sale. I realize I have a lot more to watch, and this week it's gonna be. I get my Ormond set finally in on Tuesday. So it was supposed to come in from Amazon on Thursday, and around 4:00 I noticed still hadn't shipped. So I called Amazon to see if it was going to, and the guy said, "Oh no, we don't have this in stock. It's probably gonna be a month before you get it." I said, "Fuck you, Amazon," and I went to Orbit DVD, and they shipped it out the same day.
Yeah. I think I ended up ordering it from Diabolic.
Same thing with the Arrow video store thing. I originally had it on Amazon, and then I got it from Grindhouse. That should be coming in this week too. But let's talk about our conquering our collection pick. What did you watch?
I watched it's kind of a newer movie. It came out during COVID. And I was super excited to see it. I just never got around to it, and I finally sat down and watched it. It was a book that I loved when I was a kid, and that's what kind of was really made me excited to see it. But
can I guess the book? Can I guess the book, please?
Do it.
Cat in the Hat.
God, I've never seen that movie either.
I haven't either. Let's see. Little Women.
Little Women. No.
Any book written by Nicholas Sparks?
No. You're getting pretty cold.
um, give me what kind of genre the book was.
um Horror.
Was it like a real horror book or a teenage horror book?
Um I'd say it was teenage.
Was it Twilight?
No.
I give up. That's all the books I know.
This might give it away. There were three of them.
Hmm. There were Hunger Games.
No. Is that horror? I guess
I
it
don't
could
know.
be.
Dystopian horror. All right.
I'm just
What?
going
What?
to tell you, it was Scary Stories to Tell in Dark.
Okay.
Did you not read those when you were?
I was an adult when they came out, and all right. So tell me what you thought of the movie.
Um, well, I guess going into it, I remember seeing the trailer and I thought like, oh, they're kind of gearing this towards like, probably the age I was at when I read these. Like I remember I got the books at like the book fair when it came to like school and middle school. So yeah, I guess you would have been an adult, so you probably didn't read them, but
I was
so
fucking when you
yeah.
were reading. I was fucking.
So I kind of thought that they were going to gear it towards that to try and like get those popular again. And watching it, I was very surprised. It was definitely for adults. It was um a lot scarier than I was kind of thinking that it was going to be, and I was kind of worried because the books are just like anthologies of stories. So
Right.
so I was wondering how they were going to pull it off. Like, was it just going to be one movie was the story? But it was kind of um there's like a back in the day there was like a deformed girl like in the late 1800s, and their family like tortured her and locked her in this basement, and somehow she came to this power where if she wrote a story it would happen to the person she was writing it about.
I've seen the movie.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I saw it in the theater when it came out.
Oh, nice. So yeah, I won't explain it too much then, but I liked the way that they kind of tied the stories in. Um, Two of the stories that I was really looking forward to, they went into, which was um, the Mitai Dotai Walker and um, the spider in the cheek.
Okay.
Um, I thought the effects weren't like super great. I thought that the one girl in the hospital was pretty creepy looking. That just like hugged the kid and he was like absorbed into her.
I'll be honest. I don't remember the movie much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I liked it. I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
Guillermo del Toro produced it, right?
Yep.
My thought walking away was this would make a better TV series than it did a movie.
Yeah, I think so too.
I thought all the acting was competent in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt walked out. I felt I wanted more. I wanted the bridge story that kind of tied everything together. I wanted that
Mm-hmm.
to be a little more. I wanted it to be better than it was.
Yeah. Yeah, and I that's kind of the fear I had going into it was just how they're just gonna do it. I think a TV show would be really good because they could just devote each episode to one of the stories. Because I mean, there's three books. There's probably like 50 stories. I think we might have got like four or five in there, but I mean, for what was in there, I thought it was okay, a little better than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, it would be cool if it was more and rated
The,
R.
the one thing I liked about the movie is when a character died, I believe they stayed dead.
Mm-hmm.
I was glad there wasn't that Hollywood type ending where everyone's back.
Yeah. Well, they put a little thing at the end where all the returning ones are just driving away,
Yeah,
and the girl is kind.
the ones who survived it.
Yeah, And
And
the
the,
girls at the end is just like, I know there's a way to find them, and we're gonna do it. So I don't know if that's them like trying to set up a sequel or try to make it a happy ending, but I mean, yeah, they're dead.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, I thought it was decent enough.
that's cool.
Yeah.
It was like one of those movies I remember seeing that there was no audience there.
Really?
Yeah, which is probably why they didn't make a sequel.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I don't know. It's like a okay movie to just go in blind, but I think it is kind of geared more towards fans of those books. And there's probably just they're my age, so they're probably not going to see this PG-13 movie.
Well, the other thing was I don't think it was marketed that well. If I remember correctly, it relied too much on the Del Toro name,
Yeah.
and his influence was there, but it wasn't his movie.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think so I think it came out in 2020.
No, it came out
Um
at if it was 2020, it was early 2020, but I think it came out 2019.
okay, it might have been. I was gonna say I don't know if like COVID kind of swept it under the rug and it didn't get a lot out there. I know that happened to a couple movies.
It happened to Vin Diesel in Bloodshot.
Did it? I still never saw that.
Yeah, on the week that the COVID restrictions happened, I went to the movies because I had a feeling it would be the last time I went and saw Bloodshot and The Hunt.
The Hunt. I don't remember that one.
It's actually a really good movie about an elite group of liberals who kidnap a bunch of Republican conservatives and start hunting them for sport. It's a brilliant,
Nice.
it's a brilliant satire film.
I like it.
So I'll be honest with you, I was going to blow off my Conquering my collection pick because I realized I watched too many movies in the last few days, and I was movied out.
Yeah.
But I was looking through my collection, and I'm like, oh, I've never watched this movie before. It's a film from the Criterion Collection. It stars Robert Mitchum. Hold on, I'm gonna get all the cast right for this. It stars Robert Mitchum, Peter Boyle, Richard Jordan, Alex Rocco, Joe Santos. Special appearance by Mitchell Ryan, and it is directed by Peter Yates, and it's from 1973, The Friends of Eddie Coyle.
Hmm. I don't
And
have
it,
that one.
it's a crime movie, but it's not over the top action. It's Robert Mitchum stars as Eddie Coyle. He's a small time gun runner who gets guns for these people robbing banks.
Hmm.
And it opens up on one of the most intense robbery scenes I have ever seen in a movie. I think at some point when Bad Boys came out, the Fast and Furious movies, these robberies started getting more and more elaborate. But these were simple robberies. It opens up with this gang casing the bank, following getting the times of when the bank manager leaves in the morning. And then the next day they come to his house, they hold his family hostage and tell him he has to do this or his family will die. And we then meet Eddie Coyle. He's a guy who's about to go to prison. Um, Peter Boyle plays a bartender, hitman who is working with the government and the mob. And Eddie Coyle is also trying to work with the government to get a lesser sentence. And it's just in the weeks that lead up to him going to prison, and it's it's a very dramatic character study, and I can't believe I've never seen this movie before, and I've owned it for years. But
Yeah.
it was just, and Robert Mitchum was great in it. Um, so was Peter Boyle, and I wish at some point I could see this on the big screen. It's just that good of a film.
Nice.
Yeah, now we're getting to what I'm dreading. Showgirls. So
Oh yeah.
so I have this is the first time I've ever watched this movie, but let's give it a little synopsis. Beyond your wildest dreams, beyond your wildest fantasies, a young drifter named Nomi arrives in Las Vegas to become a dancer and soon sets about clawing and pushing her way to become a top showgirl. So before we even get started, I was so biased about this movie. Reason one, I grew up in the same neighborhood as Elizabeth Berkley in Farmington Hills, Michigan. We lived in a subdivision called Rolling Oaks. I knew her older brother, who was my age, and we would always play in the park. We had a park that was between our streets. Really good park. Had swings, monkey bars, and this big hill you could go sledding down in the winter. But I remember one summer, she destroyed my Jawa action figure from Star Wars. And I was so depressed because that was the hardest one to get. So I have an immense hatred for her. I was going to interview my brother about being in the same class as her, but I didn't because I totally forgot to. But the second reason I also didn't like this movie is my roommate, the now deceased Fat Rob, was dating this girl, and they went to see Showgirls at the Showcase Pontiac on Telegraph Road, and he got a blowjob from his girlfriend, and he wouldn't tell me what theater it was in, which meant I could never go back to the Showcase Pontiac.
Oh, it was like during the movie?
During the movie.
Okay.
Because I was afraid I would sit in a jizz stained seat.
Yeah, it could have happened.
Yeah. But also I had no interest in seeing this movie. I was at the age where I could have legally rented porn. And why would I want to see this? But let me give the synopsis. Please tell me if I forget anything. We have this girl hitchhiking. She gets picked up by a hitchhiker. They're both going to Vegas. Funny enough, he looks like he could be a wannabe Elvis impersonator.
Yeah.
He tells her that he's getting a job at a casino because his uncle works at the Riviera. They go there. He gives her money to play the slots. She leaves her suitcase in there. And here's the thing: Nomi is supposed to be the streetwise tough girl because she pulls a knife on Elvis when she gets in his pickup truck, which says she's street smart. But if she was street smart, she would remember that this guy to take her suitcase with her and not trust anybody. After she gets robbed, she starts crying in the parking lot, and she meets Molly.
Yep.
After they fight for a little bit, Molly just invites her to live in her trailer.
Yeah, that relationship escalated pretty quickly.
Then I guess some time passes, and Nomi is working as a stripper at the Cheetah, which seems like the greatest strip bar in the world. Well, I think what made this movie great was if Patrick Swayze's character from Roadhouse was the bouncer there.
That would have been nice.
And Molly works in costume design or sewing at this show called Goddess, starring Gina Gershon. I can't remember what her character's name was.
Crystal.
And one night, Nomi gets to go backstage and watch the show. It's called Goddess. I got to admit, I have no idea what it's about or why people would want to pay money to see it. But it seemed like a big deal because there's a press conference afterwards, and she's making out with secret agent, special agent Dale Cooper. Kyle MacLachlan is Dale. No, what was the name of this? Matt? It's Matt, right?
I don't think so. It was
Or Dave.
Zach.
Zach. Huh.
One of those
Funny.
short
Funny.
names.
I just realized that in Saved by the Bell, she knew a sleazy guy named Zach. And Kyle MacLachlan plays a sleazy guy named Zach. She has an argument with Gina Gershon and storms off. Molly storms off after her and says this is her job. But Gina Gershon's intrigued, and she shows up at the Cheetah where Nomi is dancing, and she buys a lap dance with her boyfriend Zach. She'd watched, and then things got sticky. That's all I'll say is things got sticky. I also forgot there was an African-American guy who she met one night who said he was a choreographer, and he kind of insulted her for working at the strip bar.
Mm-hmm.
Then she gets an audition to be in Goddess, and she gets the part. And then we find out as she goes to HR that her past, there's something wrong with her past, that she's hiding something.
Yep.
I'm like, this is a weird place to reveal that. We could have had some hints along the way. So she gets the part. She's great in it. She's becoming a bigger and bigger star. Then one night, the understudy of it gets hurt as this girl who is yelling at her, woman who is yelling at her kids, makes her break, causes an accident that makes her break, causes something by dropping like part of her costume on the stage where she falls and breaks her leg.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. Crystal needs an understudy, and it's Nomi. Eventually, Nomi fucks Zach in one of the weirdest sex acts I have ever seen on film. I'm pretty sure she was having a seizure in the pool. Then she trips Crystal, and the girl who caused the accident of her original understudy vouches for her that Crystal tripped on her own. Molly sees it.
Mm-hmm.
And starts crying, and then they instantly make up because Molly was right. She did do it. She did a bad thing. Also, we should forget that Molly has a crush on the singer. I can't remember his name, but he looks like the poor man's version of Jason Momoa.
Yeah, that's accurate.
And then she gets gang raped by him and his two bodyguards in what I would call, where the fuck did this part come from? Then Nomi goes to visit her at the hospital. Zach comes there and reveals to us that he knows of her past, where she was a hooker, and that her real name isn't Nomi, and which we all knew because no one's real name is Nomi. And then she has a great show, and then it just kind of ends. Now she kicks the ass of the guy who raped her friend. Then she leaves town, and she's hitchhiking again, even though she has the money to afford to go out in style. And she's picked up by the Elvis guy. And then it looks like they're heading to Hollywood, where the next installment of Nomi would have happened.
Yep. Things that could have been.
So I've been watching a lot of movies and reading a lot of reviews of people who love this film.
Mm-hmm.
I will say it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it was still pretty bad. And I wonder if it's an age thing. If this movie came around when a lot of millennials were reaching puberty, and this was their their spank bank film.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think my experience with it is the opposite. Like, so I was like just turning a teenager when this movie came out, and I remember we went to the local video store and we were we were able to just rent whatever we wanted to rent there. So we rented this one night, and like, yeah, there were naked people in it, but at the same time we were just like, this movie sucks. It's like, we don't care about this story. And like watching it now,
Hold on. What story? What fucking story?
you know,
It felt like it was written on
the story of Nomi.
it felt like it was written on a napkin. It was a bunch of scenes cobbled together
Yeah.
out anything. I mean, yeah, go on. I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, I mean, that was pretty much it. I just felt like, I don't know. I feel like now watching it as adult, I at least see what Verhoeven was going for, instead of, and I can appreciate it more than just seeing it as a kid and just seeing that hot tub scene over and over again.
I mean, was Verhoeven and Esterhaus going? Were they watching a Skinamax movie late at night and like, we could do this. We can make it bigger, longer, better. They made it longer.
It's definitely possible.
Because it felt like a Skinamax movie or stuff I saw on USA Up All Night.
Mm-hmm.
The plot wasn't consistent. The plot beats made no fucking sense, and things were dropped in and dropped out. Like, I'll give you.
I will.
Like,
go ahead.
Like, all right. So when the woman had her kids there and the original understudy told them to shut the fuck up, that was the first time that we saw any animosity between the two of them. And then later, she sabotaged her by creating the event that broke her leg.
Yeah. There was a small part between them two before that, but it was just like, what was it? The girl blamed the other one for like ripping her G-string or something, said she knows it was her. They like got into a little shouting match, and
oh yeah,
and yeah, then the next thing was just like she yelled at her kids, and then she tried to kill her.
And what kind of mom would let her kids back in that dressing room?
Hey, that's just the biz.
There were a lot of boobs.
Yeah, I thought that part was pretty funny though, because yeah, there's like naked people literally everywhere, and the thing that the kids are like so shocked about is like, oh, she said the F word.
Great writing. Great fucking writing.
I do think, like you were saying, there's a lot of, I don't know, just parts that don't make sense. Like even just to start it, the guy who drove her while she was hitchhiking, the Elvis impersonator, like, what is his like scheme he's got going on? Because it seems like it's not very profitable. He literally drove this girl 400 miles, gave her money to gamble with, and just took her suitcase. That,
well, for some reason, he thought there was something in that suitcase.
yeah,
Again, if she was streetwise, her money wouldn't be in there.
right. Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, it can't be worth it just to get a suitcase. I mean, 400 miles. That's a long drive.
But here's the thing. She kind of deserved it. She pulled a knife on him right away.
Well, we do eventually find out why, because she was hooking. So she was probably pretty used to just doing that when things go bad.
When she told Kyle MacLachlan how much she charged, again, I am not a hooker person, but I'm like, that seems way too cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this was 95.
Even then. I agree with him. She had no self-respect. She undervalued herself.
Yeah.
I thought all the scenes in the strip bar were hilarious. One of my favorite quotes was, I think, was in the strip bar or when the owner and the woman were visiting it. Um, she looks better than a 10-inch dick, and you know it.
Oh yeah, that character. I was just like, I was like, are you? I don't know. I feel like they introduced her because there's not one single likable person in this movie, and I feel like they put her in there to just like, hey, look, here's someone you can like. She just makes jokes and
Well, I thought there was a great scene where, hey Nomi, your mom is here. My what?
yeah.
For your sake, I don't. For your sake, I hope it's not your mom.
Which, even talking about bad writing again, makes no sense because we learn later that her dad killed her mom and then killed himself.
Yeah, but
So like,
Nomi was kind of coy on her past.
yeah.
I just loved it when she went to HR and HR started asking her all these questions. Again, this is the first hint that we get of troubled past, hidden past.
Mhm.
And then when she goes, "What's your security number?" I don't know. I'll have to get it to you later. And they still allowed her to work.
Yeah. There was one tiny nod to it before that when she first started and the guy just makes a random comment and he says something like she walks in and he's like, "Oh, you look like Pollyann," or like something stupid like that. I don't know what it was even supposed to be referencing.
Pollyanna, based on the Disney movie.
Oh, okay. And she was like, "What? Why did you say that?" And he was like, "I just thought you looked like Pollyanna." And then naturally her name ends up being Pollyann.
Yeah, that foreshadowing did not pay off.
Yeah.
He was a sleazy motherfucker. I'm erect. Why aren't you erect?
um so going back to when she gets into the fight with Molly at the beginning, they're just kind of like shoving each other around and all of a sudden Nomi just like pukes just like black tar. Like what what was that all about?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I sat there going, this is pointless. This
Yeah.
is so stupid. And then when they become best friends,
Yeah.
you know what? Every time I got into a fight with somebody, I did not invite them to come live with me.
Yeah. I did like that character though, Molly. I felt like she was like the
Voice of
angel
reason.
on the shoulder.
Yeah, the voice of reason.
Yeah, and it seemed like, she was constantly trying to keep Nomi out of trouble, trying to keep her out of like getting in too deep in that industry. And I liked when she like kind of turned her back on Nomi because she saw what she did. And
Yeah, that
then
lasted all of 30 seconds.
yeah, and then instantly she was like, "Oh no, I'm gonna go to this party because I want to meet this guy." And it's just like, well, yeah, naturally, what happens next is gonna happen because your
I'll admit
whole character just betrayed itself.
I did not see that part coming.
Yeah,
That part made my jaw drop, and it just seems so out of place for well, there's really a lack of narrative in this film.
yeah.
Um, I Much like Roadhouse, I wonder how much was left on the editing floor. I wonder if there's a 3-hour version of this film out there somewhere.
Oof. I
But
did read that so most movies are made and then they kind of get their rating, and I guess Verhoeven wrote it into his deal that he was going to have free reign to actually make this NC-17, so he like tried to put everything in there that he could. So
well,
I
he
don't
did
know.
that. He did
Yeah.
that.
So I don't know how much would have got cut out if he kind of had like final say and everything. I don't know.
Uh, Look, I don't know. Did they make an R-rated version of this movie as well?
I think so because Vinegar Syndrome, they said that they included the NC-17 cut. I know when this went to theaters, it was NC-17, but I don't know if I'm sure there was probably one though.
So I'll tell you this: I started watching the 4K, and my 4K had audio issues. Like I couldn't hear a
Really?
word. Yeah, I gotta get it replaced. So I watched the Blu-ray of it.
Oh, I
Um,
didn't notice.
so I want to talk about the guy who was trying to get Nomi to be in his show. First of all, the music that he wrote was terrible.
Yeah.
And then what was the stripper's name that he was fucking? Penny?
I think her real name was Penny, but they wanted to call her Hope, I think.
Yeah. So the woman who played Penny wrote and directed the sequel to Showgirls.
I saw that.
Showgirls 2 Pennies from Heaven. I had no idea there was a sequel to it. And it continued with one of the most insignificant characters in the movie. She was nice though. She seemed like a nice girl.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and I had seen that too when I was looking into it, and she went in hard on this sequel. She, like you said, she wrote, directed, produced. She was the editor. It was the studio it came out of is her name.
I'm sure we'll see this. I'm sure we'll see that as a VSA in the near future.
Oh boy.
But going back to the story, so the one thing I learned from this is all men are shit. There is not a single good male character.
Mm-hmm.
There's the scene where Nomi is selected by Crystal with another one to go work a boat show to represent the casino, and then she realized she was going to be whored out.
Yeah.
And she refused to. Good for Nomi. Good for her. She there are lines that she wouldn't cross again. Then she goes and talks to Zach about it. And Zach pulls a Zach move. This is totally of an episode of Saved by the Bell, where he's like, damn it, we're going to get to the bottom of it. And he yells at the dude.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the dude there? Was this the next day or the same day? Because I was confused. Time in this movie is meaningless. For me, I thought the movie took place in a week. And then as soon as Nomi and him walk away, he calls the guy and goes, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Which is so friggin' sleazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of like, he definitely seemed sleazy the entire movie, but if I felt like it was really that part where it's like, you think at first like, maybe he does like Nomi, he's trying to help her out and make it big in this scene, and then that happens and you're just like, oh no, this guy's just like as big of a piece of shit as everyone.
The only honest male character was the manager of the strip bar.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah,
he
wasn't
like a
nice
nice guy at all,
yeah,
but at least he was upfront and honest of his sleaziness.
yeah.
And
I liked the scene when he came to see her and kind of did his goodbye.
yeah, well, I mean, right before she left, he's like, "You'll be back."
Mm-hmm.
But even the Elvis lookalike was just like not a single good male character in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
We thought the choreographer was going to be that guy, but when she showed up at his place and he was fucking Penny and telling her the same lies that he was telling Nomi, you just realized, all right, you're just a better at hiding your sleaziness than some of the other characters.
Yeah, but I mean, he seemed pretty sleazy all the way because he was just like a straight up stalking her the entire movie.
Yeah, I'm really surprised to not play Rockwell's song "Somebody's Watching Me."
Like anytime she walked out of a door to go outside, he was just there.
I I got to talk about Elizabeth Berkley's performance. Good for her that she was trying to shed her Jesse Spano image. But let me read something here. Do 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 do. Oh. Let's look at all the other actresses that were up for the role of Nomi.
Oh yeah.
Pamela Anderson, Drew Barrymore, Angelina Jolie, Vanessa Marcel, Jenny McCarthy, Denise Richards, and Charlize Theron were way smarter than Elizabeth Berkley by turning down this role.
Well, apparently, so I was reading about it, and they said that Jenny McCarthy was like in the lead for the role for a long time, and then they finally got to the point where they found out she like couldn't dance, which I figured would come up almost instantly in the tryouts. Um, but then I guess Charlize Theron was like really adamant about the role. She was like fine with all the nudity. She was really going for it, and I guess Verhoeven said like, this, you're not her character. You're not like, I don't know if he was trying to say she's not like sleazy looking enough, but
I actually think she would have been better. Elizabeth Berkley at this point was just doing guest spots on TV and was on Saved by the Bell.
mm-hmm.
She was not a good actress. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that she isn't a good actress now. I know she has some success on Broadway and hasn't really, she's done things, but she was in over her head in this role. And you could tell by her acting, she just wasn't ready for this.
Mm-hmm.
And
To her small amount of credit, I will say that I read Verhoeven admitted that like it was his idea for her to be like so overacting with everything. I
I mean,
guess everyone put it on her, like, why did you do that? And
it, it was the scene where she was yelling at Zach about being set up for for being treated like a piece of meat. There was intensity, but I did not feel the intensity from her.
yeah.
She was just lucky she was with Kyle MacLachlan, who's one of my favorite actors. He's normally great, but he wasn't good in his role either.
So funny story about him. I was thinking back on this movie when I first saw it, and I don't know if this is something that I thought just for this movie or if I've always thought it, but I like vividly remember his role that it made me laugh every time he had a part in this movie, but I vividly remember his role being played by Bill Pullman.
Maybe
So
maybe in another universe.
so like seeing some of the parts, like watching it again, I kept picturing Bill Pullman and I was like, oh man, that would have been wild.
I, I don't know. To me, Kyle MacLachlan, his best performances were with David Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
He was also good on How I Met Your Mother as the captain.
Yeah.
And I know he's been in other movies like The Hidden and other great things, but to me, he was David Lynch's greatest actor because he was basically playing David Lynch in these movies.
Mm-hmm.
And here he is, he's trying to be sleazy, and he's doing a good job of it. But it also felt like this was a paycheck to him, and not a passion project.
Yeah, I had seen that he kind of like hated hated the movie. There was like rumors that he walked out of the premiere, but they interviewed him. He was like, "Oh no, I sat there and just like sat there in dread for 2 hours."
Um,
um, I was
I'm
going to
so-
say something, a couple things about Elizabeth Berkley. I saw that she was only paid $100,000 for the movie, which I feel like has to be pretty low, even by then, by 95.
it was, but I'm sure she made a lot on the back end.
Maybe so that it said that it's the highest grossing NC-17 film. It made $20 million in the theater. It had a $45 million budget, so lost some money there. Um, but then it eventually became um, one of MGM's top 20 all-time bestsellers when it went to video, and it has made over 100 million.
So it's
So
probably
I don't know if she got a cut of that, but I
every
did
time.
see that. Go ahead.
Yeah, every time a tape sold, all of them got a cut of it residuals.
Okay. I did see that when one of the um like special edition Blu-rays or something came out of the movie, she asked for like $2,500 for the interview, and whoever was putting the movie out declined it. So I don't know if she was hard up for money at the time or
Nah, nah. I mean, you got to think she was making money on from Saved by the Bell reruns and the other movies
yeah.
and guest appearances. The sad fact was she was dropped by her agent after this movie came.
Yeah.
Again, she wasn't ready for it. She
So I guess that kind of begs the question. Before this, we've got RoboCop, Total Recall, Basic Instinct, great movies. Then we've got this, and then after this, we have Starship Troopers. Like, what do you think made this so bad? Was it Elizabeth Berkley? Was it?
I think it was a combination of things. I think it starts and ends with the script. The
Mhm.
script was not a whole story. Again, it felt like them trying to do a Skinamax movie on a big budget. I know Tarantino calls this one of the ultimate exploitation flicks.
Mhm.
I don't know if I agree with that. I mean,
Yeah,
it was an exploitation film, but it wasn't a well written one.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, and that's the hard thing. I see what they were trying to do. I see what they were trying to, you know, get across that happens in the industry, but it just A, it was too long, and B, it just needed something to, I don't know, have like a driving force other than, I mean, there really just wasn't one.
well, it felt like it was trying to shock you in certain scenes, like the lap dance scene.
Hmm.
Was it intense? Yeah, it was. Um, all right, I got to go back to this. That there was some kind of relationship between Nomi and Crystal that wasn't that evolved because were they in love with each other? Because
Yeah.
I got the feeling as the choreographer character said, you were fucking both of them.
Hmm.
And then that kiss when she said goodbye to Crystal.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of got the feeling that the Nomi character was very immature in ways that like she was almost like childish in a lot of ways. Like she would sleep with a stuffed animal. She acted out like a little teenage kid every time something bad happened to her. And it almost just seemed like she was used to hooking for so long. It kind of just seemed like she was just using what she had, using her looks, using what she could do as just a way to manipulate people and get what she wanted. And I don't know, it just kind of seemed very like, I don't know, like emotionally immature, kind of.
See, I took it that she was a manipulator,
Yeah, I
but
think
I
so.
mean,
And I think that's the only way she knew how to deal with things was to do it that way to get what she wanted.
um, I guess it's also. I think Gina Gershon was the best actress in the movie, and her performance held it together.
Hmm.
And she also had the most depth of a background, even though we didn't know much about her. She started as Showgirl. She went to Broadway, and became a star there.
Yeah,
But
and she used to eat dog food. We learned that.
I don't
More
know.
backstory we got
Is
than
that a
anyone
metaphor?
else.
I was thinking that was a metaphor. But I will say again, I liked it better than I thought I was going to. But it was still a stinking pile of shit.
Yeah, yeah, definitely Verhoeven's worst from what I've seen.
No, I think it is. I think it is. And Starship Troopers was his apology for this movie,
Yeah.
which did have Denise Richards and Doogie Howser in it. Do you think this movie could be made today?
Um, I mean, I think it could. I don't think that it would get the number of theatrical releases that it did back then, but I don't know. When was the last big NC-17 movie that came out? Was
I
this
don't
it?
know. I don't know. I think NC-17 became the forgotten rating.
Yeah. I feel like there was one within the past 10 years. I don't know what it was though.
I don't either. I don't either. All right. So how many G strings would you give this movie?
Um, man, this one's it kind of hard for me to rate because it's not well made, but I see what they were going for. Um, I think I'm just gonna go two ripped G strings.
I'm gonna go one full G string and a half of a ripped G string.
Ooh, that's the one that got the fight started.
Um, I enjoyed the campiness. Oh, before we get to it, we need to talk about the rape sequence a little bit more.
Go on.
It just came out of left field, but I guess they needed to do that so Nomi could have her big moment of revenge,
Yeah,
which I thought was her best acting in the movie.
yeah, yeah, and to me that was definitely the most like um intense scene in the movie. Like the lap dance, the the hot tub, which again, just imagine Bill Pullman in there. But to me, that was like, I did not remember that part coming up again when I watched it this time.
It was.
Um,
I mean, again, it shocked me. It was like,
mhm,
I mean, this movie isn't light, but this is the oh fuck moment.
yeah,
At least they did a good job of foreshadowing Molly's um what's the word? Fan you know, fandom of this singer.
hmm,
Though we never learned what kind of musician he was.
yeah,
I just assumed he was really bad because he was doing a residency in Vegas.
right, yeah,
I thought he might be a Yanni type.
yeah. Um, I did just look. The last NC-17 was last year, and it's a Netflix movie. It is Blonde. It has Ana de Armas, and I believe she is Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, I think if she met me, we would fall in love pretty instantly.
Marilyn Monroe or Ana de Armas?
Ana de Armas. Like if she came to my door like she was in Knock Knock and not crazy, I'd let her in. We'd have a conversation. I'd wuss out and making a move, and she'd leave unfulfilled.
Hey, give her a shoot her a DM. See if this can happen.
I'll slide into her DMs and then get put on a watch list. she's like a big star now, unlike when she was in Knock Knock.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about next week's show, and I'm gonna, before I tell you what we're gonna watch, I'm gonna give you my reasons why. I found this guy on YouTube. I think the channel is called We Bear It All.
Okay.
And he is going through a comprehensive review of every movie that appeared on USA Up All Night.
Ooh, nice.
And one of them was for Virgin High. So I think we should watch the double feature of Virgin High and Hot Under the Collar from Culture Shock releasing.
Perfect.
We might hate ourselves for it. I mean, I know I will because I have watched them already.
Better or worse than Showgirls?
You know what? We'll get into it next week.
Not a good sign.
We'll get into it next. Showgirls had a budget.
Oh, okay. All right. Looking forward to it then.
Yeah, Showgirls had a budget. Anything else we want to talk about this week?
I don't think so.
You know what? I have something. As we're recording this, we are a little bit over a week away from July 1st and the Severance sale. Vinegar Syndrome has announced 17 releases for July.
Just partner label releases.
No, that's all of it.
Oh, I thought I saw Justin Liberty said
No.
Somebody said, I hope that's everything. And he said, that's just partner labels.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. That was an OCN post where they said 17 releases.
That's too many.
So that's going to be a big old month.
What do you think? I think we'll probably get a Pulse release. We'll get another Culture Shock late night series.
The more we go into this year, the more it seems like we're not going to get that promised Primetime Panic 2.
Yeah, we are.
Is it still going to happen?
It is happening. I already pre-ordered it from Grindhouse Video releasing.
Did they announce it from Fun City?
Like 2 months ago.
Primetime Panic 2, did they?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's coming out.
I got to order it right now then.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. I do see it. But it's not coming from.
No, there's no more OCN partnership. It's all MVD.
Yeah, they just said that was going to be the last one we got from them.
No, Breathless.
And it never happened.
We got Breathless.
So this comes out in August. All right, I did not know that. Okay, all right.
17 is too many.
I mean, that's all of the. How many partner labels are there? Is that all of them?
Dude, I feel bad for you.
I'm gonna control myself this time. Oh no, there are so many partner labels.
Yeah,
there's 25 now.
Makes no fucking sense. and that's the problem with it. It's like people, like, I keep on saying this, and people think they have to buy all of them. I'm looking at you. I am looking at you.
I'm guilty.
And like, I personally think it should be pick and choose, because Connie, Yellow Veil, I'm not really interested in what they're releasing.
Mm-hmm.
Saturn's Core, not really. I mean, I think Agfa, Culture Shock, when Pulse has something, and then Umbrella when they have something good.
Yeah.
But you also know there's going to be a VSA again this month, and probably a VSL and a Picorama.
What are your feelings on the VSL line so far? You said you liked the first two in this new one.
No, I liked the first one. I didn't like the second one. I still haven't watched The Cat Creeps.
Mm,
But here's the thing: these Polish sci-fi movies could have been a vinegar, part of the regular line.
yeah.
I mean, it's out there as some of the Spanish films. Uh, it's just another way to take more of our money from us.
Yeah.
And again, I think I keep on saying, I think this is what's going to kill them. Your fan base, there's so many other options out there, like Severin and TerrorVision and Mondo Macabro, and they're all doing good releases. And Vinegar OCN is here going, hey, we have you as a captive audience. You're addicted to our slipcovers. You don't want to miss them. I mean, I can't imagine some of these movies. I can't imagine, like, no offense to Culture Shock, like people who are Gen Z are actually interested in Virgin High and Hot Under the Collar because
Yeah.
they were not around when these movies proliferate, these direct-to-video movies proliferated shelves because they desperately needed content. And for us, it's like a nostalgia on these films because, at least for me, I'd come home drunk from a party in college and I put on USA Up all night because I was going to see something either really good or really fucking sleazy on there.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I think Vinegar Syndrome Prime, they've been releasing a lot of really good titles and some bad ones. I'm finding the European box sets the most interesting, or the Mexican and Spanish box sets the most interesting things they've released in a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm always really interested in those, but it's the bad thing with me is I only usually end up having time to watch a movie like around this time at night. So I'm hard pressed to put on a movie that I have to read so late.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you. But like this month alone, like A Blade in the Dark, I started watching it, but I was too tired, and I really liked what I saw, and I can't wait to finish it.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have something like Night Screams, which is so fucking bad.
Yeah. So speaking of A Blade in the Dark, do you think that the packaging is just they're doing too much there? I mean, it's definitely cool, but
I
I
don't
just think
know.
it seems weird the random titles that they do
It's
this to.
I think because it's a really thick case that comes in there.
Mm-hmm.
There's 4 movies or 4 discs.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. And are there 3 cuts of that movie?
No, there's just 2 cuts.
Okay.
But no, I think it's cool because it also sets them apart.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they've also released quite. My favorite discovery of the year was Sick of Myself, which we should talk about at some point as well.
Yeah. I do. I'm interested to see that.
But I don't know. I don't know. It's so they're releasing too many titles.
Yeah.
They're becoming Kino size.
Ooh. That is a lot. I mean, so far at least, I mean they're selling, especially the one that we're talking about next week. I think I saw that was the fastest selling or the fastest sold out slipcover
No,
from a partner label.
that would have been the limited one from Pulse last year with the Jess Franco movie. It was sold out in a day.
Oh, I thought I saw that this one did too.
No, Brian was able to get it a few days after one came out.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah. But I think that's part of the problem. I think people are ordering it because of the slipcover.
Mm-hmm.
And in a few weeks, anyone have a slipcover they want to sell of it? Because you happen to get it without one. And I think our co-host Brian actually posted this in a group.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. I remember seeing. I didn't read it, but I think we have, as collectors, we have to have everything, and we have a friend who won't get a movie if he can't get it without a slipcover because it's not the most complete version of it.
Mm-hmm.
But by getting all these slipcovers, we're killing trees, killing the environment, and totally exceeding our global carbon footprint.
Do you get the slipcase protectors at all?
No,
I started getting some of them. Just for the ones that are long out of print, but I don't know why, because I'll probably never sell them. But
your wife is going to make you sell it when she start having that baby. Get a vasectomy.
Just get a second job.
It's the baby or your movie. No, again, I don't like the collector mentality over it, and I've seen this before when I worked at a comic book store and Death of Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's too much speculation, and I think, like, I saw videos of I saw pictures of one guy with his arrival, all of his movies. He got he spent a fortune. I saw doubles in there. The only reason there'd be doubles is if you're speculating that it's going to go up in price.
Yeah. Or you just there's been a couple times where I've accidentally ordered two and just haven't even noticed it. Like the Oregonian.
You don't double check your orders?
I mean, I usually do, yeah, but a lot of the times I'll just hurry up and get them all in there and buy them.
Yeah, you can always email Evie and go, "Hey, I made a mistake. I ordered two."
I mean, sometimes I just don't notice, and you end up the major shareholder of the Oregonian Blu-rays.
Drinking and buying is never a good idea.
Yeah, they got to stop having these midnight sales. Noon. I can't get any drinks in by then.
Yeah, well, that's because you're working. But we'll be working next week when we record our eagerly anticipated episode of Virgin High and Hot Under the Collar. We'll see you next week. Hopefully Brian will be back from his special assignment, counting sand at the shore.
Oh yeah.
We'll see you guys next week. Bye.